We think that's the way to get there, but really we don't know, and it's not our job to know. It is our job to trust that whatever is happening in your life right now is for your highest and greatest good. Whatever the result, if it hasn't turned out the way you wanted to, it is how it is meant to be. There are no mistakes. Everything is perfect and divine in its own right, just as it is. And I really feel like this is a valid point that we can all take on board, because so often we move into regret and shame and disappointment and feeling like things aren't working out the way we want them to work out. When really, if there are no mistakes and everything is exactly as it's meant to be, it takes the pressure off. You know, we can almost sit back and kind of allow things to be as they're going to be, without the unnecessary judgment from ourselves, because that's really what we're doing. Say you lose a relationship or lose your job or something leaves your life and you judge it as good or bad, or, you know, why didn't this happen? This was perfect for me. I knew this was going to be the right way for me. That's our lower, limited mind believing that. But if there are no mistakes, and we come from that vantage point of, well, I'm going to trust that there are no mistakes, I'm going to trust that everything is always working out for my highest and greatest good, then we kind of step out of the drama, right? Because you don't know if that relationship, the purpose of that relationship, we don't know the purpose of that job. I don't really know the purpose of that post. I just knew that I was meant to post it. And my judgment around it, or your judgment around something being labeled as good or bad because it hasn't turned out the way you want it to turn out, it's just cluttering the energy. It's pulling you into drama, and it's pulling you into negativity and judgment, and these are lower vibrations that are taking us off being guided on our path. So ultimately, we don't really want to be in that energy. Again, I'm reminded time and time again that there are no mistakes. Everything is perfect and divine just as it is right now. In this very moment, everything that is going on in your life is perfect. And we do not know how that is perfect. And we're not meant to know. The lower mind, the ego mind, is not meant to know. That's not our job to know. It is the higher mind. It is our soul consciousness that can see the plan, that can see the path from A to Z. And we might have a plan that kind of goes from A to G to F and then back to G and then all this, like, because we think that's the way to get there, but really we don't know, and it's not our job to know. It is our job to trust that whatever is happening in your life right now is for your highest and greatest good. Whatever the result, if it hasn't turned out the way you wanted to, it is how it is meant to be. And sometimes things happen and they appear to be negative. They happen to teach us a lesson. They help us to become stronger with something. They help us to see ourselves from a different point of view. They help us heal. Maybe something dramatic happens and you're like, how is this for my highest and greatest good? But maybe that takes you on a path of self-reflection, and you're healing the shadow. You're learning to love the shadow and parts of yourself that you didn't really want to look at. You know, so we need to take this concept into every aspect of our lives. There are no mistakes. Everything is perfect and divine just as it is. Everything is always happening for your greatest and highest good. Example of this, and this has just happened recently. Before we went to Thailand for December, January, I had the inspired idea to Airbnb our house. So I literally spent a month getting our house ready for Airbnb. I did everything. I cleaned all the cupboards. It was cleaning the walls. It was a huge job. And anyway, so we get to Thailand and the weeks go on. We were there for 5 weeks and we didn't have any bookings. And as the time went on, I was like, I can't believe we don't have any bookings. Like, I'm really upset. I put in all this hard work and hard effort to clean this house, like from top to bottom, and for no one to come into the house, for us not to even book it. Why? And I was literally in a state of why, because most of the time I could figure out why, and my guides didn't tell me why, because I needed to go through the experience of not knowing why, and surrendering to not knowing why. So that was also a part of my lesson. But it wasn't until we'd been home for about a month, maybe 6 weeks, and I'd gotten over it. I'd accepted it. I was like, fine. We came back to a sparkly clean house, and I put in all this work. There's nothing worse than putting in all this effort when you think it's actually for nothing. Well, it wasn't until a month that we got back that Simon found out that there was going to be some changes with his work, and he was actually going to leave his job. And this meant that we were going to bring forward our trip to Central America to May instead of December, January of this year when we'd planned. And at that moment I was like, oh my God, we're moving out of our house. I now understand why I had to clean the house from head to toe and like clear out clothes and sort out things. And I was like, it's for this moment in time. It is to make the move so much easier. And now here I am, and we are moving out of our house in 3 weeks time, and I'm completely relaxed about it. So relaxed, I'm still able to make my YouTube videos and work and do everything else, and it's school holidays and have the 4 kids here and everything. And it is all because I've already done all the prep work to move out. We've pretty much moved out of our house in December to rent it, and it's like this whole experience of moving out of our house now feels so easy because I've already done that. And now all I can think of is thank you. I had the time and the energy to do all that back then. If I had all that work to do now, I would be way more stressed. So I now see the divine plan in it. And that was a big lesson because I was really upset that I'd put in all this hard work for nothing. But it just goes to show sometimes you cannot see the why. And when you can't see the why as to something is happening, you need to surrender. You've got to let it go, and we've got to come back to trust. We've got to come back to trusting in something greater than us. Something else has our back, something higher and greater, whatever you call it. You know, I refer to God, I communicate with the angels and my guides. So I know that there is a higher aspect, God aspect to me, to my 3D self, that really has it all figured out. They've got the map. We don't. We just need to follow the guidance for the map. That's our job, is to follow the inspiration, to follow the guidance of the map. We're not meant to know the way. And if you don't know why something is happening in your life right now, I want you to remember that it is all divine and perfect, and it is all happening for a reason. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you subscribe and like and share with anyone else who you think might need this message.